All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath, 25th day of February, Monday. Thank you very much, Gary Hindershot, for the Alternative Energy Hour. Again, you can hear Gary every Monday, 5 o'clock West, 8 o'clock East on Wide Awake News Radio when he brings his Alternative Energy Hour. You can also hear him Thursday nights over on Justin TV. You can just type in, do a search for The Smart Scarecrow. Anywhere, they'll take you to his website and bring you to his program, or Justin TV. The Smart Scarecrow program. Once again, thank you, Gary. I appreciate all you do, not only for your first hour of Alternative Energy on Monday, but producing the live video. All right, if you're not one of the 60 or so we have in chat right now and you want to join them, go to wideawakenews.com, click on the Wide Awake Radio button. That'll take you into the chat room, or the microphone on the right-hand side. That'll take you into the chat room. In just a few minutes here, we're going to bring on Sheriff Mack. This will be the first time I've ever interviewed him. Of course, as I'm well aware of who he is and what his work is. I'm glad that I finally get a chance to bring him on the program and chat with him. I want to start off a little bit, and this goes hand in hand. And I put out a video the other day called "All Things Are Connected" or something. I'm paraphrasing myself here. All things are connected, and I'm putting out a video tonight later on that has to do with things that we've all heard about. At least if you've tuned into this program or watched any of my videos or any work on Wide Awake News, they're statistics, right? Over the last 4.5, 5 years, we the people have lost millions and millions, 4 or 5 million homes due to foreclosure. A lot of cases, fraudulent foreclosure. Over the last 4.5, 5 years, millions of us have lost our jobs because of a decimated economy. Over the last 4.5, 5 years, we've seen our sovereign debt explode from $9 trillion to $16 trillion. That's on the back of the people of this nation. We've seen other nations in the so-called West go down that same road. I get asked on videos on occasion, I get messages through the website, why do I keep bringing up these statistics? Why do I keep talking about these same things over and over again? Well, it's real simple. Because I'm not part of the mainstream propaganda media. I'm not part of the titillating 24-hour news cycle. I want you to remember. I want people to remember. I want you to take this information, give it to your friends, family, loved ones, so they can remember who brought us to this dance, who brought us to this condition, who brought our economy to the point of collapse that it is right now. You see, if we follow the path of mainstream media, we're supposed to buy into the 24-hour news cycle. We're supposed to think that it's anything and everything's fault, rather than the corrupt Washington, D.C. so-called representatives and the corrupt folks on Wall Street, corrupt special corporate interests that are truly represented by Washington, D.C. If we forget who brought us here, you see, over the last 5 years, all their fraudulent failure has been, private fraudulent failure has been transferred onto we the people. Through legislation and through outright bailout, it has been transferred from private institutions onto your back in the form of sovereign debt. In fact, Dexia, a bank out of Europe, is suing J.P. Morgan Chase right now because of fraudulent securities that they put together to sell the people and the rest of the world. Now, Jamie Dimon, he's all upset about this, the prosecution giving him a hard time for his what seems to be fraudulent activities. In fact, in a CFR interview recently, Jamie Dimon said that the government should be grateful. Let me tell you what that really means. You should be grateful for what Jamie Dimon and J.P. Morgan Chase had done in 2008 by bailing out Bear Stearns. Billions upon billions upon billions of your financial future, your financial sovereignty, your sovereignty as an American, given up in order to save institutions and heads of institutions like this, who say you should be grateful for it. Dexia is suing them because they know they acted fraudulently. In fact, in 2007, 1,154 mortgages were known to be 30 days late. But after the tricky accounting practices of J.P. Morgan, after executive override power, that 1,154 was whittled down to 25 that was reported to the potential investors of J.P. Morgan's complex securities. 1,154 to 25. If you tried to pull that same kind of math with this government, you would be in prison. If you made $30,000 a year and you use that same kind of 98% reduction, you would report $600 in income you would not be showered with bailouts. You would not be showered with legislation that benefits you. You would be showered with a bunch of other men and then put on your orange jumpsuit because you would go to prison. This is the system we have, completely, totally corrupt, from top to bottom, left to right. It isn't about a political ideology. It's about power and control and destruction of your financial future and the freedom of the people of this nation. All right, let's bring on what I consider to be a hero, Sheriff Richard Mack, fighting hard for the freedom of the people of this country. Welcome to the program. It's an honor to interview you.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate being on with you.
You heard what I said in the opening here. I mean, I truly believe all of this is connected. You know, when you talk about the usurpation of freedom that is guaranteed to us by the Constitution, it isn't just Second Amendment. It isn't just First Amendment. It's a pursuit of happiness. It's a pursuit of going out and earning a living and keeping what you make. And we've seen a complete dismantling of not only our First Amendment and Second Amendment, which we see a warp drive toward right now, but we've seen a whole breakdown of the rule of law in this nation, have we not?
Well, yeah, and I think you gave a very good example, though, in your monologue that details the corruption of Washington, D.C., and not only the corruption, but the complete and utter incompetence of Washington, D.C. politicians. They can't even pay our own bills without borrowing money. We almost borrow 50% of everything we spend from other communist countries. Red China, we owe Red China so much now that if they called in all our markers at one time and then refused to accept the dollar as payment, they could devalue our dollar overnight.
Absolutely.
And we have given complete control of our economy to Red China. And this is how incompetent the Republicans and Democrats are in Washington, D.C. This is not all Barack Obama. This is also the Republicans who gave us the NDAA, and the Republicans who gave us the Patriot Act, and the Republicans who continue to give us the ruthless IRS, and the Republicans who give us debt and deficit spending. And so this is both parties. This is absolutely not just Barack Obama. And now, of course, yes, Barack Obama's calling card is gun control and very Hitleric policies that are completely analogous to all the horrible communist dictators of the 20th century that we spent World War I and World War II fighting. And what do we get? We get the media totally supporting this and acting like gun control is something that now that I put in my book, that it's magic. And so I actually wrote a book called The Magic of Gun Control.
Yeah,
in that book, I got to tell you, I invented a new word, and I'm really proud of this word. It was an easy word to invent, though. I will tell you that. I'm proud of it nonetheless. And it's called polymagician. Now, you can imagine what a polymagician is. Of course, it's a politician who is a magician, and he wants us to believe all the illusions that they're throwing at us. And the biggest illusion they're throwing at us right now is that gun control will reduce crime, make us safer, and create more peace within our society. All of that is a lie, it's propaganda, and it's never happened before in world history.
No doubt about it. And we're about to go into our first break here. But before this program's over, I want to get your take on why do you really believe, what does your gut tell you, right? What is Sheriff Mack's gut tell him is the reason we have this true attempt at destruction of the Second Amendment? You know, we're given all these mass shooting statistics that and we're told the Sunday after Sandy Hook, the president's standing there saying too many funerals, too many kids are being killed, and it's a fact. It's a fact. 80s to 90s to 2000s, mass shootings are on a decrease. So we're definitely going to, before the end of the program, get into why you really think this agenda is being put forward. A couple different websites, guys. We're going to keep putting them out during the program. SheriffMack.com, of course. CSPOA.org is another one. We'll get into that one on the backside of this break. We're going to be back with Sheriff Mack, more What I Think News Radio. Please hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath, along with Sheriff Mack on this 25th day of February, Monday. I'll make the announcement right now. I should have at the top of the program. I'm not going to take callers. This is the first time I've had Sheriff Mack on. What he's doing over there at the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, that website and his Sheriff Mack website. I really want to get his take on it, so I apologize. I should have announced that earlier. Let's get into it. I posed a question before the break to you about, it's obvious that we see this assault on the Second Amendment and mainstream media jumping on board. There could be a case made for those of us who are old enough to remember the gun bans in the 90s. It was pushed hot and heavy then as well, but it seems that this go around, they're.
Wait, I didn't understand you. The what was pushed in the 90s?
When we saw the assault ban under Clinton, the assault weapons ban.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's one thing that's different now is we've been immersed into this governed by crisis where we take a crisis, we react to it, and it doesn't matter if we destroy the Constitution. It doesn't matter if we steal freedom. It's all about resolving a crisis. We've seen it with the Patriot Act. We've seen it with NDAA 2012. We've seen it with all kinds of financial legislation that was all done in the midst of crisis. And then, one mass shooting in Connecticut is the trigger point for massive gun control legislation and a big push. But they have everything. We have the security state. We have the military-industrial complex spreading around the world. We have the wars. Why do you think now is the time for this grab of gun rights and this grab of destruction of the Second Amendment? Why now?
Well, it's all part of the agenda to fundamentally transform America. Barack Obama promised us he would do that. Dianne Feinstein has promised us to do it for a long time, Charles Schumer. Many of them have. But now they've got this leader with carte blanche, with complete dictatorial power. The media goes along with everything he says, the mainstream media at least. Some of us, like your show and others, don't. But the bulk of the media don't stand up to Barack Obama. They don't challenge him on constitutional issues. They don't challenge him on liberty. They don't challenge him on American history. They don't challenge him on fundamental American ideals. And you were talking about, they will. And he did when it came to Obamacare and the health crisis. There was no health crisis in this country, but he created one, and he paraded people in who are dying in the streets, he said. Yeah. Oh, our people are dying in the streets, and so we've got to save them. Do you realize who we have trusted with our education, our health care, our transportation, our energy, our economy? We are trusting the most inept, unconstitutional people that we have ever seen in the history of our country. Yeah. These guys can't even balance our budget. We are entirely insolvent, and that is enough evidence right there to prove that these people are not trustworthy, they are not capable, and they don't care about us or our freedom or the oaths they swear to uphold and defend the Constitution, that they're required to swear to, and they put us through all this idiotic and costly inauguration ceremonies, and it's all the biggest farce, and they allow and promote a Gestapo organization known as the IRS to collect money for the Federal Reserve, and we all sit back and take it because everybody should pay their fair share. Yeah. This propaganda scheme in America, and now they use this propaganda scheme and this propaganda machine, and the White House goes to bed with the press, and the United States Congress comes in as an accomplice, and they say, if you will give up your guns, we're going to all be safer. And they're only targeting the law-abiding citizens. And let's not make any mistake here. The other part of this propaganda scheme is getting us all to believe that they have the authority to have us all subject ourselves to their national criminal history background checks.
That's right.
And if we don't submit to those, then they do not allow us to exercise that which is already guaranteed in the Second Amendment. I'll tell you what, right now, Mr. Obama, I have my permit. I have my background check. It's called being an American citizen. And the Constitution applies, and you have no right, no authority, no jurisdiction to take my rights away, and I have never committed a crime, and I don't intend to. But you, sir, have.
No doubt about it. I couldn't say it better myself, Sheriff Mack. You are made a criminal, and that's what we're being turned into. And don't think for one second that the grandfathering in is somehow going to make it better, because it won't. You will still have to stand in line, and if you don't, you will. They will come after you. We're going to be back with Sheriff Richard Mack and more Wide Awake News Radio in just a few minutes. Hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. Sheriff Richard Mack is our guest tonight, and we're trying to connect him through the studio rather than through Gary's video production studio to try to get a little bit cleaner feed. Gary, did we pull that off?
I'm on.
Sheriff Mack?
I think so.
Right. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good. Oh, that's much better. That's crystal clear.
Okay.
Welcome back. Welcome back through alternate means. So, in many ways that we can connect. Let's get into it. Only half hour left. You wrote a book, The Magic of Gun Control, and you've illuminated us greatly over the last half hour how there is no magic bullet when it comes, pun intended, to gun control. Yeah. You're not going to fix a crime problem by going after guns.
That's actually the title of the book is completely sarcastic.
Yeah, I figured.
It's a play on words, and the polymagician thing is more sarcasm aimed at the jokes in Washington, D.C. And I have no respect for any of them, even the ones who try to give lip service to the Constitution every now and again. I have no respect for any of them. Show me how many Democrats or Republicans that really say and mean they're going to stop spending, that they're going to cut their own salaries, that they're going to cut their own exorbitant pensions, that they're going to cut spending in their office. I think Rand Paul is the only one that's done that. And how many of them sided with Ron Paul over the last 10 years when he said that we've got to get rid of the Federal Reserve? There's hardly anybody on that. There's hardly anybody that talks about pure constitutional issues, that know and understand the Bill of Rights, why we have a Bill of Rights, and that they can't intermeddle and they can't interfere with freedom of religion, yet they require the churches to be 501c3, and every bit of that is unconstitutional. These guys, and it's to varying degrees, but these guys are all part of the problem, and my message is, let's make Washington, D.C. irrelevant. Stop worrying about who's running for Congress, who's running for Senate, who's running for president, because whoever it is, I guarantee you next year and the year after that, government will get bigger, just like it has every year for the past 50 years, 60, 70 years. Spending will increase. Do you know just since Ronald Reagan left, that our budget has increased about, 600%, 650%? Yeah. That hasn't just been the Democrats. And, I mean, it has been huge, just tearing into our economy, tearing into our personal lives, tearing into our bank accounts, tearing into the future of our children and grandchildren. And these people don't get it, and they don't care. They know for a fact that the IRS is out of control, that they are a Gestapo-like organization that doesn't follow the Bill of Rights, does not follow the Constitution. They all let them get away with it, and yet then they come back and act like they're a big hero every 2 years or every 6 years and say, put me back in. They have the worst approval rating in the history of Congress, like 9%, and yet we stupid people still reelect them all. And I don't get where it's coming from. I don't get it at all. But I guarantee you, none of those people are worthy of re-election. Not
Absolutely.
one of them.
No, I agree with you. And look, I'm not saying the 535 members of Congress that some of them aren't there with the best intentions, but those guys, the system that we have now has made anybody that wants to follow the principles of the Constitution, wants to return to a constitutional republic. Our system that's in place now has made those people or that idea a terrorist act. It's made it irrelevant. Not only irrelevant, it is, you are on a list. If you follow Ron Paul, you are on a list if you're a returning veteran as a potential belligerent actor in this country. The power in Washington, D.C. is in the hands of these long-term congressmen and senators who stay there sometimes 40, 50, 60 years and decide what legislation can be brought to the floor. And when you have a constitution that's been dismantled and no rule of law that is followed, and everything is done through legislation and bills brought to the floor that continue to dismantle the Constitution, well, guess what? They control everything by determining what piece of legislation will come up for vote next. And the one thing you can be guaranteed of is it's going to serve the banking interests, the same banking interests that happen to be the ownership of the Federal Reserve. Now, we could talk about the ineptness of Washington, D.C. all night long and the destruction of what the founders intended with representative government. But I think we both agree it's far beyond saving. And
I want to tell you honestly, and you brought up my book and you brought up my organization, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. We have a solution that's working right now. We have a solution to all the ineptness and corruption of Washington, D.C. We have a plan and a program and a system. And this is not pie in the sky. This is not wishful thinking. This is not down on our knees just praying and hoping something will happen. We already have the evidence. We have sheriffs that are standing. I sued the federal government and won on all of this, and all it is now is implementing what we already know, what I already have put together in my books, and we have sheriffs now all over the country, literally hundreds of sheriffs standing against the Washington, D.C. corruption, the gun control proposed by Barack Obama and Dianne Feinstein, and we have sheriffs actually standing and doing just what I wrote in my book, The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. Exactly what we should be doing, exactly what sheriffs are supposed to be doing. And now everyone listening to your program needs to get to be a part of this solution. You need to get involved with your sheriff. You need to know what this book says. You need to understand that you're part of the solution. You're part of the system that makes America work. We, the people, are the ultimate power in this country, and it's not because we vote. It's because we get active, and it's because we take charge, and it's because we take matters into our own hand and say, you know what? We're going to take our country back, and we're going to work with local officials to erect the barriers against the encroachments of the national authority. That is a quote from James Madison, exactly what state sovereignty and states' rights are all about. I won my case on the 10th Amendment, and it's because I said Barack Obama or the federal government is not my boss. Barack Obama is not our boss. He's not the boss of your state. He's not the boss of your county. Bill Clinton, I sued him, and I won. And this is all boiled down to my case. And Justice Scalia said, states are not subject to federal direction. And if that is true, which it absolutely is, then the president can't tell us what to do, the United States Congress can't tell us what to do, and if they can't tell us what to do, how did the EPA get the authority? We've got to start getting the healthy balance of power back that Justice Scalia talks about and that the Constitution guarantees. The states and the counties should be running governments and running the issues at the local level that really concern the people. Not Barack Obama, not the federal government, and certainly not U.S. Congress, and absolutely not the bureaucracies, the dictatorial and communistic bureaucracies that destroy our lives and land and possessions. No way do we allow that to happen anymore, and we have the solution, and I'm asking every one of you to join us at cspoa.org.
cspoa.org. I'll put the link into the chat room right now. What are you and fellow sheriffs that have and peace officers What are you doing? What are we doing? What do you want us to do?
Well, first of all, we're training, and we've done 2 conventions this year. In 2012, we did 2 different conventions. We had hundreds of sheriffs and county commissioners and state reps and everybody coming and being a part of this movement. And that is simply to do this. Tell the federal government there's just a few things you're not going to do here. You're not going to be running roughshod over our citizens. Specifically, you're not going to come in here and confiscate guns.
Hold on, Sheriff Mack. I'm sorry. I should look at the clock.
I'll give you the others when we get back.
Yeah, yes, sir. We'll get in. We're not going to. We'll start with what the Sheriff's Association, what the people are saying. The federal government is not going to do. We're going to be back with Sheriff Mack. More Wide Awake News Radio. Hang tight. Welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Final segment on this 25th day of February. Sheriff Mack, I'd asked you the question: what do you want us to do? What are the peace officers and sheriffs at cspoa.org? What is the plan? I think there's a lot of people who are ready to listen and ready to take action.
Okay, well, first of all, everybody needs to get a hold of your sheriff and your county commissioners, but mostly your sheriff, and say, we want to build the barriers against the encroachments of the national government. We want local officials, especially our sheriffs, to enforce the Bill of Rights, not go along with the bureaucratic regulations of Washington, D.C. organizations that now pretend that their policies and their regulations supersede the Bill of Rights. So it does take some education. We offer the classes. We've been giving them all year long. But the plan is simply this, that your local officials know and understand the Bill of Rights, that we are a constitutional republic, not a democracy, and that the enforcement of our Bill of Rights and the enforcement of our oaths of office is the ultimate and paramount responsibility that each one of us have. And then we will go on to the next level and do this. Local officials, state and county, city officials will interpose ourselves. In other words, put ourselves in the way between the federal government and our citizens and make sure that our citizens are not being victimized by the federal government. I don't care if it's the ATF or the IRS, DEA, FBI, I don't care who it is. If they are violating the rights of the people, if they are coming in to confiscate guns, or they're coming in to confiscate property, or ruin families, and take bank accounts without due process, then the local officials will say, you're not doing that here, and if you don't want to spend the night in the local hotel, known as the county jail, you're going to go by the Bill of Rights in this county. The Bill of Rights will be respected. We have no obligation whatsoever to go along with your unconstitutional behavior. You come in here and destroy and run roughshod over God-given rights and our fundamental freedoms and the principles that our country was founded upon, then you will answer to the law. You leave our citizens alone, we will stand for them, and if it costs me my job or my pension or whatever else, I don't care. As long as I'm sheriff of this county, you're not going to do those things in my county. And you do it. And we have sheriffs doing that. We have examples in my book. Both books have it. But my most recent book, The Magic of Gun Control, has a chapter dedicated to many of the local officials who have been doing this during the past 10, 15 years in our country.
Is there an aggregate site where we can look at the sheriffs that are standing up for the Constitution across this country?
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there on CSPOA. Just scroll. As soon as you go to the front page, there's like some headlines on the small headlines on the left-hand side. Just scroll down, and just very little though. You'll see it right away. It'll talk about the sheriffs that are standing, and you'll see some other things at sheriffmack.com that are showing you sheriffs and others that have stood against the federal government and state governments, and it's just amazing how many people are doing this now and starting to jump on the freedom train. It's wonderful.
Oh, it is wonderful, and we need more and more people to do it because this acceleration of federal domination is unbelievable. I mean, it like I said, we can compare this gun grab, this attempt on the Second Amendment to the 90s, but it doesn't really compare because there's so many other things going on, so many grabs on freedom going on, and not only the Second Amendment, but the First Amendment. Not only the First Amendment, but so let me ask you this: we limited time about 6
minutes. 5th and 8th and 9th and 10th, and and what's scary is while the federal government is trying to implement and get rid of most rifles, the United Nations is working out a deal with us to get rid of pistols, the Small Arms Treaty. And so they're really coming after our guns fast and furious here, folks. And I hate to tell you, use that tongue-in-cheek Fast and Furious thing, but the Fast and Furious debacle and scandal was just another way for Barack Obama to introduce more gun control in this country. It blew up in his face, and he still got away with it, and literally was responsible and instrumental in murders being committed in Mexico, even against Brian Terry, who is an agent of the Border Patrol. And these people, hundreds of Mexicans died because we shipped guns down there. Hundreds of Mexicans were killed with those guns, and Barack Obama literally has gotten away with murder.
I agree. Let me ask you this. With the TSA, Homeland Security, the Viper checkpoints that are rolling, this is all federal police force, if you will. The amazing amount of ammunition that is being purchased by the federal government, going to departments such as Social Security and NOAA and all that, millions, billions of rounds of ammunition. Do you think that there is coming a point where it's going to be a very small remnant that remembers what a constitutional republic is, being asked to give up or face the full force of tyrannical government? Do you think we're coming to a tipping point where it's going to be obvious to everybody, regardless if their head's in the sand or not, that this nation's in jeopardy?
That's really the $10,000 question, and it shows a lot of insight. I've been saying this for a long time, that we are the generation right now to decide if we're going to continue as a constitutional republic or if we're going to succumb to the politically correct movement to make America another socialistic country. We already live under the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, so saying socialistic might be too soft. We are under communistic rule in this country. It doesn't please me to say it. The greatest threat to our God-given constitutional American liberty is our own federal government, and we've got to stand now. This is the most crucial time in American history since the Civil War. And we are losing the Cold War horribly in this country.
I want to give you a question that came out of the chat room. Gary just forwarded to me. Sorry, Chad, I wasn't in there when this question came in. Charlie from the chat room. Does Sheriff Mack promote the notion that sheriffs meet DEA and other such alphabet agencies with force? It was not really any different under Republicans, Obama. Okay, that was a different question.
No, absolutely not. We need to stand against those agencies. There might be some times where I would work with the FBI, but you need to know that the jurisdiction of the federal government in law enforcement matters is extremely limited. But all powers delegated to the federal government were extremely limited, discrete, and enumerated. And that's actually reiterated in my Supreme Court victory. And everybody needs to read that. I'm telling you, folks, this is the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of our country. And you need to read what Justice Scalia said about this. 2 small-town sheriffs take a case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and win on the issue of state sovereignty. This has hardly ever been talked about, and everyone needs to read it. I won a case at the U.S. Supreme Court while I was sheriff in Arizona. And the basis of a lot of what I'm doing comes right from that decision. We are sovereign. The states are sovereign. We do not answer to the federal government, and for anyone to pretend that the Supremacy Clause gives the federal government carte blanche, that's an absolute lie. It would negate all the checks and balances provided by our founders, and it would put the Founding Fathers in a position of violating their own Constitution. There's no way. No way.
Then that 10th Amendment battle that you won, and the 10th Amendment is incredibly short. It's an incredibly short amendment. The power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Or to the people.
Yeah, it doesn't get any more simple than that. Now, the Supreme Court in the past, in arguing or in listening to arguments on the IRS, has said they have no legal ground to force paying of income tax. Is this organization, are the sheriffs standing up? You had mentioned earlier, if federal IRS agents come in and say you don't want to, to seize bank accounts, to seize property, to force an income tax. I mean, this is part of it, isn't it? To stand up.
It is. It is part of it, especially the ruthless behavior of the IRS. There's only one place to stop it, and that's cities and counties. That's where it has to be stopped. We must stand against that. We cannot tolerate that anymore in this country. It just cannot happen. We cannot be America and continue to allow this type of ruthless behavior from our government and from our bureaucracies. The bureaucracies of this country do not supersede my right or your right to the pursuit of happiness. My right to property is untouchable. And yes, we have so much work to do here, but folks, I'm going to tell you again, this is not pie in the sky. Go to our website and you will see that it is already working. We're starting. And at our convention, one of the key topics was, what can we do to stop the IRS? And that was at the first one back a year ago in January. And then this most recent one in September, it was more about gun control. And but I'll tell you what, we believe in all of the Bill of Rights. Every sheriff should be believing in the Bill of Rights, and he should be working with you. Each one of you should be getting hold of your sheriff. Ask him, are you a constitutional sheriff? Will you stand and protect my rights? If you're just going to refer me to an attorney, then what do I need you for? Any sheriff that pretends and puts this out that, well, I won't keep my oath of office and I won't protect you from government criminals, but I will recommend a good lawyer. That's just absurd. Let's take America back. Let's have the backbone and the guts to enforce the Bill of Rights and stand for what's right. And if we do, we're going to take America back tomorrow. We don't have to wait for the next election. And let me encourage every one of you to donate to what we're doing. This is the first time you can donate to something that will be a donation to yourself.
The website is cspoa.org. If you want to help them out, and I encourage everybody to do, there's a donate button right on the left-hand side when you get to that page. SheriffMack.com, that is your own personal website, and you can get a copy of The Magic of Gun Control. Again, SheriffMack.com, and the website that we want everybody to go to, check out what they're doing, check out where these constitutional sheriffs are, cspoa.org. One last question as music's starting to play here. Are you hopeful?
I have the most hope for America that I have in a long time. There is hope. I guarantee you there is hope.
That means a lot coming from you, Sheriff. I greatly appreciate you coming on here tonight. I want to get you back on to talk a little bit more on what we do, how can we affect change if we do get that kind of sheriff that you were talking about that is more interested in their pension, more interested in receiving federal funding, how we can affect some kind of pressure on these individuals. We'll get you back on again real soon if you're willing.
Thanks, Charlie.
You bet.
Thanks Absolutely.
Thank you. Dr. Sheriff Mack, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. Guys, please stay tuned for Jeff Rentz. He is coming up next. We will put these links, cspoa.org. We'll put that up on Wide Awake News and try to get try to help out as much as we can. All right, guys, have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace.